Okay, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, this is supposed to be in a dark room with people laughing at my kindergarten photo. With the COVID-19 being here, I can say that the reason I started with this photo is to show how all of us, I believe, have an innate sense of love for life. And as we feel it slipping away with the current pandemic, the current crisis, I feel that love is all the more intense. Next slide. So last year, I met Daniel Ellsberg, who's a big lover of life and our supreme whistleblower. Next slide, please. And I want to make a shout out to Li Wenyang and Ai Fen, the whistleblower doctors from Wuhan. But it was at Dan's house that I went to his wife's climate action salon, where Judith Kleinman gave the Al Gore climate reality presentation. Next slide, please. And after that immense information overload, I knew I needed to change my life. So I did a number of things, including join EFM and start my project. Next slide, please. So this is Restoring Biodiversity in Richardson Bay Audubon Center and Sanctuary. This is Richardson Bay and Lyford House. Next slide, please. Danny Montijo, she inspired me to work at the center. She was putting in her rainbow garden as a seasonal employee. All natives, many she grew. Next slide, please. And with a little help from my friends, I just spent a year working on a lot of land, replacing invasive species with natives. Next slide, please. I actually ended up with a lot of contributors and collaborators. I responded to Kim's request for that. And if you don't see your name here, there's still time. Next slide, please. On the left is Charlotte Torgovitsky, who's the most fantastic native plant grower imaginable. She was a tremendous help. California Native Plant Society Marin chapter. And we also had a few volunteers from organizations that Audobon got. Next slide, please. And here's my EFM mentor, Bob Harlow on the right, helping me landscape and firescape Lyford House, and that's his friend on the left. Bob, next slide, please. Bob was the only one who responded to my request for people to tell me about their love for place, which I really appreciate. Next slide, please. I got help with the Cubs. Of course, it was for them to get their merit badges, but we did a lot of things, including plant, and it was their first experience planting, and even for some of the adults, and that was extraordinary. The next slide, please. Here they are, screaming for soil. I asked them, they were really kind of in shock. Here's an adult asking them to shout at the camera. So we needed soil. And that's Fabiola Torres on the left in the dumpster, which I hired, and then my son Dylan on the right, volunteering. Next slide. And this is the pudding. The proof is in the pudding, and this is supposed to be what I had for you. But because of the COVID crisis, I'm unable to get the photographs right now. It's closed down. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. So instead, I have some pictures of wildflowers that are around the world, and it's just kind of an idea of what nature does on her own. So the next 18 slides or so, we can just zip right through. Thanks, Pamela. So during these slides, I can tell you about something that I just found out about. It's the Stewardship as a Human Right. It's the local Flora magazine, Native Plant Society. And this individual wrote a book, Stewarding the Earth, Rethinking Property and the Emergence of Biocultural Rights. So this is largely what my presentation is about, but this is new to me, this biocultural rights. And the interviewer said that we all resonate and share a fundamental love for living things. And the person who wrote the book said, human life is deeply intertwined with the flourishing of the ecosystem in which people find themselves, and to care for it is natural. On this slide, I wanted to point out Lillian Valley, who her recent book, was a great source of inspiration for me. And I learned about her through Judith Larson. Next slide, please. who owns a seed company and has a wonderful native garden in Bolinas that you can visit. And on the wall of her seed company and where she sells tools and books, there's this poster. And it really struck me of my desire for Richardson Bay Audubon to have this phenomenal wealth of biodiversity, which belongs there. Next slide, please. So the bottom line, over 1 acre replanted, over 100 cubic yards of dead brush removed, over 200 cubic yards of soil imported, over 300 labor hours donated, and over $3,000 in goods and cash donated. And I will leave you with the last slide. Thanks very much. And that's the last slide, Tamala.
Beautiful, beautiful slides. Carolyn, I knew you were working on this project for all this time that you've been in the master class, but it wasn't until I saw your slides that I see what a major effort in coordination and collaboration you have undertaken. And
well, I appreciate
it's just
that. It's
just
really
a beautiful
look
project.
Forward to creating the slideshow of the before and after photos of the project.
Yes, that's what people are saying. We can hardly wait to see those photographs. Thank you.